Welcome to the Crypto Teacher.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And I told you I'm going to bring you some flashback videos, and I'm going to do those today and tomorrow. So definitely enjoy, but never forget the past always comes back to the future. We have the same people back in place. So you know I'm going to show you a whole lot of Trump. Make sure you join the Patrons, and then also if you're not a part of the Patrons, hit that Cash App. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Enjoy the flashback. I think this video got 88,000 views.
I think that these structural flaws in the end in the system will ultimately result in a change. And the rise of China, the relative rise of China, will also result in a change. So you have these two forces. And the question I'm trying to raise is, do we get ahead of that change, or do we help manage that change and affect some sort of rebalancing of the system? And to be absolutely clear, when I say we, I'm talking not about I'm talking about the central banks, the public side, as opposed to the private side coming up with an entirely different decentralized system. Mm-hmm. So this is partly where we may part company at that point on the issue.
I'm all in favour of choice.
Yeah, exactly, in favor of choice, but just to be clear.
Thank you. So can I ask the other members of the panel if they share the Governor's analysis in the speech, because I feel confident you've probably read it. If you haven't, do say, because I wouldn't want to unfairly grill you on something you haven't read. But Dr. Haldane, do you broadly share the Governor's Freudian slip there?
I've read it. I've read it twice, actually. And I do, yes. I mean, it's. Interestingly, I doubt there's very much strong pushback on the diagnosis. This asymmetry has been here for quite some while, at least since the breakdown of Bretton Woods. And I agree with the Governor that those tensions have become more acute of late, as many economies have become in some ways more dollarized, at least in terms of the debt that they issue. There's no question that the one solutions, and the Governor floated one in his speech, the synthetic hegemonic currency.
Just trips off the tongue, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so a little while back, that this was one we didn't actually speak much about. To be honest with you, this was a little bit of an outlier. But the idea here is to have people transacting, banks and firms transacting across borders using a synthetic or universal currency of some kind, right? Some kind of blended currency. Of course, I say that it wasn't spoken about much until recently because Governor Carney made some very interesting remarks. I think, I don't know how many of you actually saw these. I thought they were quite fascinating, actually. Just a few weeks ago, proposing basically this, right? So, and I suspect there's no accident that this work was done end of last year. But of course, he went much further, and also, if there's a third piece of reading I can encourage you to do, is actually read that speech. It's quite long, but really quite fascinating. Where, well, he is talking about the replacement of the U.S. dollar in international trade because of the sort of imbalances that creates given the shifts in the global economy, and rather replacing it over a long period of time. He did stress that over a long period of time. Replacing it with some kind of what he called a synthetic hegemonic currency, SCH. I think it's going to go down in history, right? Synthetic hegemonic currency. So the idea here is that there is a new exchange, in fact, essentially an issuer, so presumably some kind of multilateral organization of some kind, that central banks are able where essentially they're able to buy this universal CBDC for their own local currencies. Now, like I said, no deep analysis has been done of this, but straight away you can see that there's a FX risk here because if central bank A buys using its local currency, buys some of that blended currency, well, over a couple of days those rates shift and so on. So there's questions about how to manage that risk. Anyway, regardless of that, the idea then is that if a bank A can essentially buy from via the central bank, I should say, this universal settlement currency, and use that for all its cross-border transactions, right? Things become, at that level, very, very simple, right? Where, again, you have to have this transaction across different ledgers, but essentially, you have one single claim that can be transacted across different ledgers.
Collateralized stablecoin. That means tokenized assets whose value are expected to remain constant in some unit. So if it's $1 stablecoin and you have 10 of it, you're expecting its value to remain stable at $10. These assets have a backing asset, in this case XRP. That means that there is something that is supposed to guarantee its value. Now, in some of those systems, you can actually redeem the stablecoin for the backing asset. In some, you can't. What's interesting about this proposal is that the stablecoins are perfectly liquid to XRP at face value on the ledger. So in other words, if you have $1 in a dollar stablecoin designed on the system, what you have is a $1 claim on XRP enforceable by the ledger's payment mechanics. And the reason that that's important is with some other stablecoin designs, if the stablecoin isn't popular, it won't necessarily be liquid. If it's not listed on an exchange, if it can't easily be deposited and withdrawn, it won't be that useful. By the design of this system, the stablecoins can be offered through the on-ledger decentralized exchange, and they spend like XRP. So you don't need to find some way to make them liquid. You can just spend them right on the ledger. And of course, they can be pegged to anything that someone can provide a price feed on. Fiat currencies are probably what people typically think of, like dollars and euros or whatever. But they can also be pegged to things like stocks or precious metals or any other value source. As long as someone can provide a price feed for it, you can have a stablecoin pegged to that value. To redeem a stablecoin for XRP, we'll have to modify the IOU to XRP order book logic. Essentially, one synthetic offer will be injected into that order book that represents redemption against the collateral pool. That will redeem against the least collateralized positions first, eliminate them, and sort of cleaning out the junk. If there are reserve funds, it can even redeem against positions collateralized below 100%. But if there's no reserve, then you can't redeem against under collateralized positions. So, for example,
those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Recreating a virtual global gold standard would be a criminal act of monetary amnesia.
So basically, we know Carney is the governor of England. So we know he takes direction from who? The Rothschilds. You have that right. So basically, if you read my book, you understand the Rothschilds, you understand the Oppenheimers, you understand J.P. Morgan. I'll go over it plain and simple for you. But the fact is that basically we have Carney. I'm not saying Carney is not a smart man. I'm not saying that. But guys, we have David Schwartz saying that, of course, stable coins using a synthetic IOU coin. And the fact is, all of a sudden, Carney, year and a half ago, about that, talks about using a synthetic stable coin, the same as what David Schwartz is talking about. That is not coincidence. The fact is that basically, of course, like I stated, Ripple is nothing but a branch of the actual government. It's part of the central bank. That's all it is. So don't forget about the executive order Trump, executive order 13772. But the fact is, guys, we clearly see PolySign is going to have these trillions of dollars in custody, and then they're going to use that ledger to move money around. The US dollar, not money. The US dollar is an IOU. XRP is going to be that IOU. They're just going to be using the XRP ledger to move the real assets around, guys. That's all it is. The United States dollar is not money. Of course, your gold and silver is money. But getting into that, which a lot of XRP fans think that the gold reserve currency is coming back. It's not. The fact is that basically, of course, like Carney said, we're not going to go back to that. They're not going to give gold in the hands of the people. That makes no sense. Central banks are going to keep that gold for their security, not for yours. So the fact is, we're not going to go back to a gold or silver standard. It's not happening. But, guys, I just wanted to play those videos so therefore you can see when Carney speaks, he's speaking from the Rothschilds. Same way when the president of our United States, Trump, speaks, he's speaking from the New World Order. I've been over there who writes his speeches. And I'm going
to have tremendous workforce availability. We're also going to have robots helping us. We're going to have a lot of robots helping us because we need it. And because we're going to town, we're building a lot between the AI and the auto plants. So we're going to need robots. We're going to have robots, but that's going to help us.
Robots hold steady hands in the operating room, and drones are redefining the future of war. Innovations of first-generation humanoids, factory automation, and autonomous vehicles have surged from private sector investment. Every one of these advancements is powered by AI. The robots are here. Our future is no longer science fiction.
Maybe crypto is actually built for the machines and we didn't even know it. And AI can easily handle private keys and easily understands transaction hashes and like how all this stuff works. It is money that is built for computers, even before the computers to intelligently handle it were built. So I find that interesting. And perhaps those of us who were involved in crypto pre-AI were kind of just like getting the ground ready for the AI systems to have a fully developed financial system handed to them, for better or worse.
This could be perhaps the greatest revolution in financial technology since the birth of the internet itself. Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology.
And as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that.
I think stablecoins could reinforce dollar supremacy, because with stablecoins could end up being one of the largest buyers of U.S. treasuries or T-bills. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, if you are using a stablecoin in Nigeria that's backed by the U.S. dollar, you don't actually have to have dollars. It's on your phone. You can transact.
We are going big on digital assets. So Trump administration has made digital assets a priority. I've seen estimates that just over the short term, stablecoins could create $2 trillion of demand for U.S. treasuries and treasury bills. To put that in context, the number is probably about $300 billion right now. We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems.
The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain, because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you can reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services. It'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial